Welcome back, women's football fans. We've had a lot of new faces at the U.S. Women's National Team camps recently, so I want to put this video together to go over how I see the depth chart, talk through some of the players we saw in the spring, and then preview some of the players we're going to get to watch over the summer. There's so much going on. I am your host, Bridie O'Toole. Welcome back to Busy Watching Women's Soccer, where we will be busy watching lots of soccer. Let's get right into it. First player I want us to take a look at together is Avery Patterson. You may remember last time we saw her out against Brazil, she was having a lovely game and then suffered this nasty injury. We've seen some nasty eye injuries this year, so I'm just glad she is back so quickly. This is her at the bottom of your screen, darting up there, and we saw her right back for U.S. Women's National Team against China, and she looked good in this role to me. She brought a lot of energy to the role. I do think on the defensive side of the ball, that energy sometimes looked a little bit frantic. Overall, liked what I saw. I've talked about it before, but her ability to track the ball in the air is just absolutely one of my favorite qualities. I think it's so smart the way she does this. When she sees this bounce, bounces get really hard to read, but she knows exactly where it's going, understands the only way for her to win this battle is that smart little physical play there. And that clearance, that's kind of what I was saying about frantic. Like, it gets the job done, but it just feels very last ditch. That being said, I think overall, the majority of this time, she played the right back role well. So you get frantic clearance, but doesn't really panic, follows through, pursues. This is the best opportunity China had, and at the end of the day, it's like completely inconsequential. Other thing I really liked, have a look at how Girma and Patterson are going to need to swap positions here. So Girma's going to pursue out. Patterson will go and fill Girma's role for her. She's a little bit out of position here, but there you go. She's touched up now. She's in a good spot. So this to me is important because if you want to play right back for this team, you also need to be able to play right center back for up to 60 seconds if there's a reason that you need to switch positions, and she does. I think that's a really good sign. Where Patterson stood out the most for me was injecting energy into offensive sequences. She's clearly a very willing runner up until the end. I think against Jamaica she was playing, I want to say like right wing, right mid, some version of that. Somebody remind me, but it was nice to see her doing something slightly different, but still using the same skill set we saw against Brazil, against China. She just makes herself available. Her feet are always moving. She keeps herself involved. And I like that she's been willing to take these shots from outside of the box. She plays the right back role so differently to Emily Fox, but it was very cool to see them both on the field together, coexisting. And I also really like that she's been consistent in club play. The things we're seeing for her with the national team, she's coming home and she's doing the same things for Houston. And I just think it's such a good sign when, as a player I'm not familiar with, but I start learning about her and we see the same Avery Patterson for Houston Dash as we do for the national team. And they're both good players that contribute in the way she likes to contribute. I think she adds a lot. I really like her. Big fan right now. Matchup against Jamaica was an opportunity for Carrie Abello to get her first cap. I know there is a very dedicated Carrie Abello fan club, and I'm sure stoked to see her get her first cap. And she looked good at left back to me. I've highlighted her because I want you to keep an eye on her and it's extended sequence, but I want you to remember just how demanding the role is at left back for this team. She's got to stay involved in the play, so even if that play's far out, she has to start that big step up way before the pass is even made. Then she's got to reset, get in line with Girma, and now that the ball is balanced and the shape is balanced, she has to start moving up and be an offensive option. It's just so demanding, and to have one camp and be 4 minutes into this match and look like you know all your shit, I was impressed. Kind of similar to what I said I liked about Patterson, Carrie Abello looked like Carrie Abello. She was running the lines, passing balls in, and getting her team up the pitch via the left wing. That is what she does for the Orlando Pride, and just stuff like this, that little step over, whoop, that's Orlando Pride's Carrie Abello. Like, you could have no numbers and just clip that, and I think a bunch of you would know that's Carrie Abello. So I really like that she has the confidence to play her game. She looks like herself, like you know what you're getting with her already. One area I was a little bit less sure about for her, and we've got one game to look at, was 1v1 defending. I don't think it was bad at all, but I think where she had wins, it's a positioning win. So the last one was a positioning win. This one is a positioning win, which are good, very, very valid wins. But there were just some other ones where I kind of felt like her footwork looked a little bit slower. Again, this one, no problem. Played really nice, delayed, fantastic. This one coming across the player here starts to be a little bit more problematic with a bit more kind of like lateral movement. And again, this is not bad. She's just getting turned around a little bit, but she sticks with the play. And when you look at who eventually makes the clearance, is Carrie Abello. So, it's not terrible by any means, but then this happened a couple weeks later in club play. She's 25, absolutely racing down there. And, that's a nasty clip. And these happen when one player's feet are just moving faster than the other. That's all it ever is somebody's fast and somebody's slow. And this is just one where I want a bigger sample size. That's all. Here's how I have my defensive depth chart at the moment. It's way too early to be talking 2027, but just to give us some kind of like parameters to build around, we got to think through how many folks are going to be going each spot. So I think for center back, probably 3, outside backs, probably 4, but the preference would be for that 4th to be someone that can really truly play center back. For both of these, I've kind of set everything up to go left to right in terms of who's secured their spot the most. So starting with the center backs, Naomi Girma, the Rolls Royce, as Emma Hayes said, there's no reason to even debate number 1 here. Moving on. I think Emily Sonnet has been the very clear number 2, but I think that might be starting to change. I do think some of the performance stuff we've seen recently with the U.S. Women's National Team has just been, victim of change. There's a lot of rotation in and out of that back line, and the goalkeeper, that crew have a lot of work that they need to do together and be super connected on. That's hard. I get that. But I just think McKeown is climbing up the ranks. I just think she's challenging for that spot. I think as Emma Hayes gets more confident with her and more familiar, I really think we're going to see those 2 spots start to flip. And then if they do flip, then folks are going to start having the maybe irrelevant age discussion. And, that alone could be enough to kind of open up some competition for that 3rd spot. Not even like really, but just in the minds of people, right? So, I don't know. I'm going to keep an eye on that one. And outside backs, much, much, much less clear. We have a very clear number 1 in Emily Fox. And I think we've had a very clear number 2 in Crystal Dunn. But I also think being number 2, and gosh, maybe I'm even proving my own point here if I am right on this mindset thing, is like, number 2 is just who I trust most right now, right? It's who does Emma Hayes trust most right now? And she trusts Crystal Dunn, but I have to think she knows she's not taking Crystal Dunn to the World Cup. And who is she going to be taking? Well, we've seen some faces recently. We've seen Patterson, seen Giselle Thompson, we've seen Carrie Abello. So, one of these kids is going to make it, right? Who is it going to be? We do not know, but that's what we're going to be looking for in the summer. That's what we're going to be looking for in the fall, and we're going to have answers to that question, I think, next year, honestly. So, who is closer to making it out of Abello and Patterson? I do not know, but interestingly enough, we have more players to add to this discussion. So who are they? First up is Kansas City's left back, Izzy Rodriguez. This is a beautiful, beautiful service in here. She does help out on set pieces for her team. Always a fantastic quality to be able to offer. But I think you're going to see the theme in these very quickly. Look at that left-footed ball floated in, absolute precision. So there was one player called up a while ago, Alyssa Melanson, who I like a lot. I think she's been a good player. I think she actually had a really good run in club play recently. But that call-up, that was when I knew Emma Hayes wants a left-footed left back. It's just traditional football, and I think there's even more of a need for it with right-footed Alyssa Thompson playing on the left wing. So, have a look at this shot again from Rodriguez. And this one here is actually from last season, but I had to pull it just because I'm a glutton for punishment. And she had so many good clips against San Diego. And I was like, okay, she's going to dunk on us now, I guess. But look when she plays this, the foot she plays it with, and turning on the left foot. You do that right-footed, it's impossible. So if her job is going to be to run the lines and serve balls in, the player has to be left-footed. And track her here, how she plays through this. I just think this is such a wild sequence. But if she's right-footed, this doesn't work. This play right here, it does not work. So, last-ditch clearances, like emergency crosses, like sometimes you just have to be confident going one touch on your left foot, and Izzy Rodriguez is, and it leads to things like that. And then we've got another outside back call up. This time it's Gotham's Lilly Reale. She is their left back right now, and she's a tackler. She's just a straight up tackler. It's kind of interesting because I think everybody else that we've seen come in at left back, I would really describe as like a dribbler or a passer, maybe passing as a priority overall if I had to pick one thing. But Reale can tackle a lot, and she's a good tackler. She's a firm tackler. She's got a center back's build. I do believe she played some center back in college. There's got to be some big Lilly Reale fans, so please spread the knowledge. But she's a big player. She's a strong player. It takes a lot to separate her from the ball, and I went through clips for probably longer than I should have, and I don't think I have a clip of somebody taking the ball off her cleanly. So it's a great quality, and if we're talking about somebody that's going to be doing some potential center backing as well in order to make the team, I mean, she could be doing it. And hey, look, what were we be talking about earlier? One touch, left foot. I don't know, man. This could be it. This could be the left back. Who knows? But I like her. I like her a lot. Last new face on defense is Jordyn Bugg, center back from Seattle Reign, and officially still one of them kids, but she just gets the timing of these defensive actions, just incredible anticipation and timing on defense, plays well ahead of her years. Stuff like this, the physicality to understand that play, just smart stuff. Phenomenal passer too, expecting good things here. I think we're going to be seeing a ton of competition for those defensive roster spots next year, where I think we will see a lot less competition because things are already locked up, the midfielders. So I think you need to kind of have a range of midfielders. I'm assuming we're going to try to do a balance. Maybe you go heavier on the defensive mids, less heavier on the attacking mids. Either way, I think there's always going to be a preference for this category of people in the middle here that can do everything. So defensive mids, Sam Coffey has that locked up. She's just been a perfect angel recently. Everything has been going well for her. Her stock just continues to rise. Clear number one here. Claire Hutton, I think a player on the rise. As she's getting more minutes, what I'm seeing from her, she looks so good when she's not under pressure. She just has like the most flow in her turns. Like it's just, her game is chill. It's great. And we can see her adjusting to the speed of play a little bit as she's coming under more pressure when she doesn't have as much time and space. She does look a little bit different, but that's going to resolve over time for sure. And I think we're going to see her just edge closer and closer to Coffey. Our folks in the middle, Horan and Johannes, are not going anywhere. Not even going to debate it. And then Albert, I do have her there. So here's the thing. I know we think she may have been sent down to the U23s, but I'm not really sure it's as much of a sending down as we think. I think it may have been more of an opportunity to give Albert a bit more of a leadership role with a group that is going through a lot of change. And then, Albert can kind of bring some of that consistency and some of that experience of the big team down to the smaller team. I think that's what's happening. I think we might see her back in a couple months. Remains to be seen. Now, folks, people will be very, very, very happy to see across the board Rose Lavelle, Croy Bethune back. I mean, that's like a clear number one and number two. Again, not even debatable. They're just a class of their own, both of them, truly. But then, kind of starting to come back into the mix, we've seen Olivia Moultrie, and I really do think, we don't have a ton of attacking mid options. So she's very clearly attacking mid. She doesn't fit into that defensive category. So it was interesting to have her back. Let's go see what she's been doing. Moultrie is a player I've liked for a long time, and I really struggle to explain why. Like, there's not any one particular thing I could point to in her play, but I just think she approaches the game so professionally. That was her first touch in this match, so she is very easily forgiven for narrowly missing that. But I've whined about this before on this channel, but I just don't want players finishing right foot on a cross from the right. I don't want them finishing left foot on a cross from the left. There are absolutely players that could do it, but you need to have exceptional technique. You need time, you need space. Everything needs to be conditionally right for you to do that. If everything's not conditionally right, just play the correct technical play. And Moultrie does that like almost all the time, like right there. It's just the correct play. She doesn't get the desired result, but she was certainly not going to get the desired result if she didn't take the correct play. So, I don't know, there's just some like professionalism about her game. And same thing here, this is very like professional. And, okay, was it useful? Was it helpful? No, but the keeper is just ages out. She's got horrible body language. It really does just take one decent touch over and one bounce for this to be a goal. So I don't hate it. You're 3 up. Why not try? And stuff like that. It's just silly, but if you're not going to be pressured, you have the skill to do it. Why not? She's just feisty. I just like her game, and I really like that her game looks the same for Portland as well. What I think was so interesting when I kind of went to go watch the recent club footage, it's the exact same areas of a pitch where she is successful, where she is making things happen. So I think it's really just like, can you get her into the right positions that she wants to be in? And does the US's tactical plan kind of like line up with that? And if it does, then I think this could be a really good fit. Against China and Jamaica, we got to see another midfielder, LaBonta. Now, she hasn't been called back due to injury, but I think Emma Hayes told us the reason for the call-up in the first place. Have a listen.
She was a player who didn't give up on herself. I think that should serve as a great reminder to everyone. I think she serves as a great reminder.
I think Emma said it, like, it just tells people, like, don't give up, keep going.
I think that is some, like, next level mind game stuff, because I do not think LaBonta is in this squad simply to serve as inspiration to the next generation. I think LaBonta is in this squad because she is a baller and she is a veteran of this game. She has a lot to offer. First couple of minutes against China did not look good. Talked about adjusting to pace of play earlier, and I think that's really all this was, is you could see just kind of the cogs turning for her, like, okay, it takes a minute for her to step up there, and then it's going to take a minute for her to follow, and then she's going to be on the wings, and she's going to need to think about, is this my responsibility, because I'm not really supposed to be in the wings, and it just makes some of the touches a little bit awkward like that. But overall, I think what we're seeing was a little bit of awkwardness, and this is classic pacing right there. Okay, it turns perfect, but you just don't have quite as much space behind you as you thought. Totally different player against Jamaica, and by totally different, I mean exactly the same, because it is the LaBonta that you know and love. She was just doing her thing. She looked calm. She looked confident. And to me, this LaBonta is what it is all about, because when I think about the passing, the technique that this version of LaBonta offers, like, this ball looks so silly and meaningless, but I've talked before about body language and how important it is to have some deception in your game. That's how you establish time and space. That's how you get your opponent to respect your game and stop charging in on you. So that's how you bring that element of control to your game. And it's so simple here, but she's just going to make it look like she's passing to a different space. And now all of a sudden, as a defender, I'm not really sure next time she sets up where that pass is going. I have to give her a little bit more respect. And then, just some of the things she's able to do technically. I did not cut in the best passes here because I've not been great at my job recently, but some of these passes, when I see the technicality on it, I'm like, who can play that ball? Lilly Johannes can play that ball. Croy Bethune can play that ball. Like, you want to back up through those players, right? And LaBonta may be the only player that can offer that kind of technicality. So she's injured. That's why we haven't seen her get a second call-up. There might be more to come here.
What? I didn't hear you, because everybody keeps saying I'm so old.
If that wasn't enough midfield depth, we've also got first-time camper on the ball there, Sam Meza. She's a center mid. Oh, come at me for that one. She's a midfielder for Seattle Reign. Been playing some really good football for them after coming back into the NWSL this year. And man, I love Seattle's set pieces. I love Portland's too, so shout out Pacific Northwest for the great set pieces. But back to Meza, really good tackler. I think she contributes a lot on defense. Really good at picking up balls, forcing turnovers, which is another one where, she's a smaller build player, but really good protector of the ball, especially given her size. I think it's very, very impressive how well she protects that thing. Lots of new faces for defenders and midfielders this camp. Not so much change for the forwards, and I think it's because we've seen so much rotation there recently. So for me, it's made the depth chart a lot more set. Clear number one, Kat Macario, and I say clear number one, she can fill that midfield role, attacking midfield role as well. I think the versatility there, the fact that she's had all the playing time she has, it just makes her clear number one for me. Number two, however, would be triple espresso, but as you may have noticed, this is a picture of 3 espresso mugs, and not actual players. So, right now these three are kind of like a figment of the imagination. I don't, they're not real people right now. We've seen a little bit of Rodman. It was killer. It was fantastic. Hopefully we get her back soon, and then she will turn from a graphic into a real face. But the other two, I just ain't so sure. So, 3 and 4 over here could be moving their way up very quickly. Alyssa Thompson, I mean, there's no question we could just send a team of 11 Alyssa Thompsons to the World Cup and I would be happy. So she has locked up that spot. And then Lynn Biondolo, such an interesting one for me because, longtime followers will know there's this period where I just probably didn't really understand her game and have kind of just been watching her grow. And, like my understanding of her game grows as my understanding of the game grows. But dude, she's just a learner. Like, she gets better. I think she's just one of these like sponge players. Like, I don't see a team without her right now because she's doing her job so well, and I just don't know who else can come in with 15 minutes and just inject energy and like a pure understanding of this team the way that she can. I don't know. So she's locked it up for me. Now, next group, really interesting. Cooper and Sentinel, and I think Sentinel has kind of been in that spot and stayed there, but I think Cooper has just like, woo, stocks way up. Like, she has just moved. And I think that has maybe come at the expense of Yasmin Ryan. So I'm really interested to see if those two maybe start kind of like switching places a little bit. But what I think Cooper has going for her is I just think she gets involved in the defensive work faster. I think it comes more naturally for her. So this for me is going to be a case of, can one of them outwork the other? It's kind of that simple. And then Sears right there on the bubble at the end. So it's a tough spot, but she's on the page and she's still on the page. And I think she's going to be doing everything she can stay on that page. The last group of players I want to talk about is goalkeepers, because we're in a very strange position of only bringing one capped goalkeeper into camp. That would be Mandy McGlynn. And the other two keepers are Dickey and Anderson. It's a strange situation, but I think it's just by nature of where the team is right now, moving goalkeepers kind of in and out while we're in a bit of a quieter section of the sort of like pre-competition season. Get people in when they're comfortable, and it's a good time to rotate. That's why we keep Girma in there right now. But I think Phallon Tullis-Joyce has looked better, and I think Emma's pretty happy with what she sees, so I think she's getting a well-deserved break. But let's go. Hear it from Emma herself.
I think she's recognising the moments in now, build-up patterns, when to step in the back four, when to step in as a 3, when not to step in, all those situations. So I thought she did that better today. And yeah, really happy with her.
It's a lot of information. So when to step into the back 3, when to step into the back 4. Well, here's a good look. We've got a matchup against Jamaica, and right now the U.S. have a back 3. So what Hayes is talking about is, does Phallon Tullis-Joyce recognize the scenarios where we want her to step up and start operating as part of this line, either turning this into a back 4, or they're already working as part of a back 4, or, there's 2 people here and she steps up to become a back 3, or, a Bello leaves, she steps in to go to back 3. There's a couple different ways it could happen, but my point is situal awareness as to when to get involved and when not to get involved. Both of those situations, very important. So what are we going to see here? Abello is committed high. Abello has to be high to take this throw, and as a result, she is now a midfielder essentially, right? She's in line with Coffey, she's in line with Hutton. Abello has just become a midfielder, which means math, we're short 1 defender now, right? Math, 3 minus Abello is 2 cool cats. So we only got 2 cool cats back here, so we need 1 more cool cat, right? So what does that mean for Phallon Tullis-Joyce? Scenarios tell me I gotta step up. I gotta join as part of the back 3 here. So she is starting to recognize the criteria, the scenarios, what she's supposed to be doing. I'm pretty happy with it, honestly. I'm pretty happy with it. And then that's an important one there too. The moving back, right, is how do you know when to go? How do you know when not to be involved? And this is her cue also, right? We see Coffey was a midfielder. She's going to come down, and once the numbers equal 3, then she can go back. It's pretty simple math. It's just difficult understanding the situations. But time and experience, that is all it takes. And Phallon Tullis-Joyce is learning from her time and experience with this team. Here's another scenario to consider: set piece offense. Numbers are committed high. All of a sudden, there's a turnover. Now what are you going to do? We have Phallon Tullis-Joyce is way back here, and she probably could be stepping up. But do you need to, if you have Emily Fox and Kat Macario both ready to go retrieve this? Also, I love how you're both just looking at each other like, yo, you got this. But so this is important about knowing when not to go. If Phallon Tullis-Joyce steps up to try and support this and help the U.S. maintain their offensive possession and kind of like restart the sequence, she's going to be in a really bad spot when she does that, and their transitional, like defensive game is going to suffer as a result. So for where we saw that ball and probably like where she was when the kick was taken, I think she was actually probably running backwards away from a ball, which, I mean, I'm not a keeper, but I'm going to assume that feels probably a little bit counterintuitive. So again, good judgment, good decision making. Everything works out here really well, and you see exactly what the U.S. want to do. They want to reset and start here. They don't really want to reset and start here. It's too risky right now. So, we got a new crew. We're not all 100% on what we're doing. Let's play it safe. I'm okay with that. Not everybody loves playing it safe, but you gotta do what you gotta do to win. Now, one of you lovely viewers wrote in many moons ago, before I truly understood who PTJ was, and I believe he said, I get nervous every time she touches the ball. I get it now, but I think it'll get better. Maybe it's just like blind belief and positivity, but she looked less nervous to me. This was early on in the game, and it's, a bad touch, but it's not horrible, and it didn't wreck the game mentally for her. It was an early accident. She moved on. Kind of similar thing there, little nervy, but it's fine. Don't panic. Just pass the ball out, reset. I kind of feel like the more it happens, the more it'll stop happening, and like, okay, right? That's gone from like a nervous touch to like, that was a legit cut, right? She waited up until she has her girl in right where she needs to be. And I know it's Jamaica, blah, 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 but like, let's be respectful of all our opponents. And I like it. Okay. I like it. I think it's a good cut. I want to see her making cuts. I want to see her getting more confident. I think she's improving. I think all the things she's been asked to do, she's starting to look more comfortable doing. Like, is she ever going to be the most beautiful, delicate player dancing over the ball right there? No, but she doesn't need to be. And like, she's doing her job, and she's doing it well. And I'm a fan. I had to cut in a couple of the big saves from a big game against Brazil just to remind everybody that I have full confidence in her shot-stopping ability. She definitely has the hands for the job. And you remember a few videos ago we were talking about the long kicks and it being a little bit of a crutch. But here's the thing. If you're doing the short passing that you're being asked to do, then it's not a crutch. It just turns into a superpower. And it was so evident in this Brazil game that, she can just pinpoint this ball wherever she wants in that first half of the field, maybe even into the attacking third. She's got range, she's got distance, but it's the precision and the way that these balls are nice and easy to be taken out of the air. So lo and behold, next game she plays in, we get this sequence. And, this goal to me entirely comes off this kick. It started the entire sequence. It skipped them through midfield. So your goalie's kind of like, it's a secret weapon. It's a secret sauce, right? Like, you unlock a whole new host of options, all these different things you can do just because this one player has this range. And by the way, she can stop shots. And by the way, you want her to join the back three or not join, she'll figure it out in a couple games. So very cool stuff. There's so many exciting players to keep an eye on this summer. I hope this video gave you a little bit of food for thought as to what you might want to watch for. I will be there at the Denver game. I'm very excited for that, although a little bit torn about having to watch the US go up against the Republic of Ireland. Contemplating getting a McKeown jersey just so there is an Irish name on an American jersey. I think that might give me the peace I need. Thank you so much for being patient with the videos. I have been playing hockey again, which I love, but it has led to a string of head and neck injuries. It's just made it a little bit difficult focusing right now. So appreciate your patience with this video and let me just kind of cram everything in there. And we will have some more good stuff for you soon. Thank you for being here. Always appreciate your time and see you soon.